Welcome to SibSpot. Today's Reddit stories are about PettyRevenge. Our first story is by NorseWolf98. This one might include a mild spoiler if you have not seen the Doctor Who episode regarding gray aliens. My brother kept jump scaring me for years, then I got back at him so bad he cried. So, when my brother and I were young, he was about 7 and I was 10. He found out that I was very easily scared. The slightest sudden noise could make me jump out of my skin and get a scream from me. This would usually manifest in him hiding behind things and popping out with a loud boo, and he would get me every time. It got so bad that I was scared to even walk in the halls of my house. After a couple years of this, my parents stepped in and told him to cut it out. It definitely slowed down, but he would do the occasional spook and get me. That is until one fateful night in 2012. My family and I were big fans of Doctor Who, and it had entered its 6th series, maybe they meant seasons, I'm not sure, and introduced a new monster, the Silents. For those who don't know, the Silents look like somewhat generic gray aliens in a nice 3-piece suit. The catch was that every time a character would look away from the alien, they'd forget about it. So what the characters would do is put tally marks on their forearms and face when they see one. It was a good idea for a monster and wonderfully executed in those first 2 episodes. During the 2nd episode, there's a character in an abandoned orphanage and she's looking out the window. Lightning strikes and her face and arms are full of tally marks. It's a very good scare. So good, in fact, that I notice my brother is acting uneasy. So then I have an idea. A most horrible idea. A delightfully devilish idea. A petty idea. I asked my father to pause the episode because I need to go to the bathroom. I lied. I didn't need to go to the bathroom. I grabbed my Sharpie and wrote a bunch of tally marks all over my face and arms. I was absolutely giddy. Then, with my game face on, I go back downstairs to the TV room. I turn on the lights. This makes my brother ask what was up, and he turns his head to look at me. He starts freaking the F out, like he was back crawling towards our dad. My dad asks what's wrong, and he looks at my face and starts laughing his butt off. I act like nothing happened and got closer to my brother, feigning concern. That freaked him out even more. After my dad and I had our laughs, he told me to wash up. My brother couldn't continue the episode, so he runs to his room. My dad calls my mom and tells her that I finally got one over my bro. Nowadays, there's no more pranks between me and my brother. He's graduating with his bachelor's degree and is one of my groomsmen in my wedding. He's a good man, and I'm very proud of him, and I love him very much. Brothers love to play pranks on each other, and maybe he learned his lesson in scaring you so much. He scared you so many times, you got him back. I think that's fair. It sounds like you guys have a really healthy relationship with each other, so this one's just cute. Our next story is by Jinx Mama. Kevin and Karen in the cat tower. We recently bought a new cat tower. We have 5 cats who play hard, and the other tower was definitely showing use. The cats had torn up the carpet and sisal, vomited in one of the cubes, and decapitated the hanging mouse, whose name is Earl, because why not? We set up the new tower, and after asking around to our friends, couldn't find anyone who wanted the old one. So we took it to the curb to get rid of it. Large trash pickup was coming, so we figured if anybody wanted it, they would have plenty of time to grab it before trash pickup. In our neighborhood, as long as the item is not on the curb for more than a week, you won't get cited for having trash in your yard. No big deal, right? Oh no, it's a big deal because Karen and Kevin have decided they want the tower. I work from home, but my office is in the back of my house. We have a Ring camera, and around 10 a.m. one morning, the doorbell rings. I'm in a meeting with my boss, so I check the app, see that I don't know who these people, Kevin and Karen, are, and go back to my meeting. About 45 minutes later, the doorbell rings again. Now, I'm out of my meeting, and since I'm expecting packages, I check the app, see that it's the delivery guy, and then head out to the front to grab my packages off the porch. I hear the notification going off on my phone as I'm opening the door, and there stands Kevin and Karen with my packages and the cat tower. Kevin is holding my packages. Me, can I help you? Kevin, we're interested in the cat tower. Me, go for it. It's been left out for large trash. You can have it. May I have my packages, please? Karen, the carpet and the sisal on the tower is torn. I'm going to need you to fix that before we take the tower. And there's vomit on it. That needs to be cleaned as well. Me, I'm not going to fix anything on the tower. We are throwing it away. If you want the tower, take the tower. If not, it will be picked up later this week with the large trash. Now, may I please have my packages? Kevin, obviously realizing I'm not concerned at all about the state of the cat tower. Well, we still want the cat tower. I'm just going to leave it on your porch and we'll come back with our truck this week and pick it up. He is still holding my darn packages. Me, that won't work for us. See, we are trying to get rid of that tower and I don't want it on my porch, which is why it's on the curb. So if you want the tower and you aren't going to take it right now, I'm not going to hold it for you. Please give me my packages. About this time, my phone starts ringing and I needed to get back to work, but I wasn't going to leave without my packages. Just as I'm about to get angry with these people, my retired, grizzled, biker-looking neighbor pulls up in his pickup truck. He's a big pussycat, but he's very protective of us and especially of our 2 daughters. My neighbor calls over to me and starts heading over to where we are standing on my porch. I guess Kevin got nervous, so at this point he shoved my packages at me and then said, "Well, just leave the tower on the porch and we'll pick it up when we can." Yeah, that's not going to work for me, and when Kevin and Karen walk off, I turn to my neighbor and ask him to help me carry the darned cat tower back down to the curb. A little while later, I had to run an errand, and when I got back, the stupid cat tower was back on my porch. Y'all, what the absolute stupid heck. My kid, female 19, got back from a class a little while later and asked why the cat tower is back on the porch. I told her the story, she rolled her eyes and groaned, and I went back to work. About 30 minutes later, she came into the office laughing. Me, what did you do? My kid, took the cat tower back down to the curb. Me, how? That thing is heavy as heck. My kid, it was really easy once I took it apart and put all the hardware in the Ziploc bag that accidentally fell into the trash can with the used cat litter. So if Kevin and Karen want the cat tower, it's still available, but they will have to go dumpster diving for the hardware. If you want it, take it now. We are not going to hold this for you. We're not some sort of service. Take the thing away. It's an eyesore. We put it out there. We don't want it there for more than a week. Take the cat tower or don't. We do not care. Our next story is by Xbox Gamer 2122. Gas rewards. I only had a bar of soap in my hand at the supermarket, and as I headed towards the 12 items or less line, a Karen with a half-full cart sped up and swooped in front of me, banging my arm with the front corner of the cart. No apology. As she was putting her items on the conveyor belt, I started counting out loud. 1, 2, 3, just to make a point. A small petty revenge. Around the time I hit 20, a woman joined the line behind me, saw what I was doing, and she began counting with me, kinda like a 2-part harmony that ended at 31. Karen ignored us, but then there was an item that didn't scan with the proper price, so the cashier had to page for a price check. Another 2 minutes went by until the kid came back with a barcode for the cashier. When the cashier announced the total, Karen realized that her loyalty number wasn't in and told the cashier it needed to be there because I used the gas rewards. When the cashier asked her for her phone number, I pulled out my phone and typed it in to save it. The woman behind me, who had been counting with me, asked in a whisper if I were planning to give Karen a call. She started laughing when I told her I was planning on going to the gas station and using the phone number for the gas rewards. Here would be the petty revenge. I checked out and went straight to the pumps, entered the customer's phone number for the gas rewards, and got a 40-cent per gallon discount on my gas that day. This one's quite petty and kind of awesome. People like this, I cannot stand people who see somebody with one item in their hands and they just have to get in front of you. There's so many people in the world who have no patience and just have to get in front of you, and they do it in any way they can. They'll even like knock into you to get in front of you. I just wish people had more patience and slowed down. Regardless, I don't think it's okay that he did this. That's pretty much stealing. That's probably illegal in some way. You can't use somebody else's card that you don't know. And that's what he did. So, petty, yes. Funny, yes. Correct? No. Our next story is by Misery. Panhandler gets revenge on herself. After seeing another thread about someone playing themselves, I thought I'd throw this out there. Years ago, I worked at a small real estate office on a very busy corner in a Chicago suburb. We got an inordinate amount of beggars. One morning, I come in, get my morning activities done, and I notice a lot of our plants are drooping. I figured I'd water them while taking a break. I ask the secretary if she has the pitcher she usually uses. She tells me this day, I think it was a Friday, is when she feeds the plants. She tells me to take a superheaping big scoop of plant food, dissolve it into a thin slurry with a little water, and then pour a little in each plant before continuing back to water the plants with straight water. Okay, so I put a huge scoop in an empty Dunkin' Donuts cup because I don't see a pitcher or a bucket or anything substantial. I assume you already see where this is going. I stir it up and it's kind of thick and blue. I bring it to the secretary's desk. She tells me where the pitcher is and puts a cover on the Dunkin' cup before she starts swirling it to mix it more. This gets really contrived, so I'll cut to the chase. I get the pitcher, and while I'm in the kitchen filling it, I poured some coffee in regular glass mugs and brought it up front for us. We were chatting when a beggar walks in. She's dressed normally and gives us the standard stories that are almost always, "I haven't eaten in 3 days," and "I need to take a bus downtown for my AIDS treatment." I don't know why they all use those 2 lines, but since we heard it a dozen times a day, we knew it was the standard scam. Anyway, she asks for money. We say no, and she busts out another line we heard multiple times a day from beggars we turned down. "You rich real estate brokers are cheap buttholes." She finally sees the Dunkin' Donuts cup. She asks if we can at least give her a couple of dollars for a cup of Dunkin'. We just say no. She asks if we can give her a mug of coffee. We say no. I'm not giving anything to someone who just called me a cheap butthole. She says, "Fine, I'll just take this." And she literally snatches the Dunkin' cup from the secretary's hand. She runs out triumphantly, hollering something we didn't understand because we were in shock and about to erupt with laughter. And now comes the self-revenge, twofold, almost 3. We watch through the wall of glass windows as she takes a big, old, healthy swig of Miracle-Gro and realize she's got a mouthful of chemicals. She doubles over and spits it all out. Self-revenge 1. She then whips the cup into the 95th Street traffic without looking and miraculously hits a squad car. Thick blue Miracle-Gro sludge explodes across the side of the pristine white Evergreen Park police cruiser. The cop immediately slams on his brakes and jumps out. She's coughing and spitting and hacking and pointing at us. The cop talks to her for a minute, then comes in with her saying she claimed we deliberately gave her poisoned coffee. We explain the situation and he mentions that he knows her because she panhandles at different businesses every day as she walks home from work. Yes, work. We later found that she's a teller at a bank down the street. We get her some water since she's looking a bit green around the gills. This was the early days of decent security cameras, but we had one and it was all on tape. The cop didn't even look at the footage and asks if we'd like to have her arrested for stealing our plant food. He's on the verge of laughing. We're already giggling and we know we're off the hook. The lady is blazing with anger and embarrassment and fear. We say not to arrest her since she punished herself for her stupidity. The cop then wrote her a ticket for $500 for littering. Revenge 2. I actually feel kind of bad about that. I think drinking Miracle-Gro was more than enough punishment, and we were willing to let her go. Revenge 3 would have been us having her arrested, but we're not scumbags. Possible fourth revenge could have been a battery charge. Maybe a cop or lawyer can back me up here, but this cop said that assaulting a vehicle that a police officer is in can be construed as battery against the officer. He kept threatening her with the battery charge against him when she'd start getting loud or complainy. She wanted us to go to prison for trying to poison her, and she kept spinning the story as if we invited her in and force-fed her a cup of cold blue slushy poison. She pushed that narrative even after we pointed out the camera and secretary started queuing up the footage. It was almost comical how the cop completely dismissed the idea of the footage. He knew. He knew her. He knew her game. Anyway, after saying he could charge her with battery for the umpteenth time, she said, "It was just a cup." He paused for a second and almost comically responded, "Only a few minutes ago it was a cup of poison these people tried to kill you with." "So you threw a cup of poison at me that exploded all over my rig? You intentionally threw poison at me. How is that not an attempt to harm?" While I'm not sure if it's true that he could charge her with battery, it certainly kept her in line and sorted out what happened. What I don't understand about this one at all is why would you work as a bank teller where you're probably being paid pretty well and then go beg from people? Like, is panhandling really that lucrative? You can just get money handed to you. I know some people that would rather panhandle than have a job at all, because they probably make more money at it than a regular paying job. If you're out there every single day for hours begging, people think that you really need help and they'll hand you money. Like, not everyone will. I won't. But it's just absurd. You work as a bank teller and on your way home, you beg from people. Oh, how can all these people benefit me? And just being so scummy. Today's episode has come to a close. If you enjoy this content, please consider clicking like or subscribe. It helps my channel grow and helps me reach a wider audience. Until we meet again, have a Jim Dandy day.